Welcome to Join Our Town. I'm Tori Stamolis. As Christians, we are called to love our neighbors. Many are living below the poverty line today, finding themselves homeless and hungry. Food is a basic need everyone should have. Today, we'll hear from two amazing ministries who are meeting this need. First, let's take a look at Chosen 300 in Philadelphia.
My story is very unique. I was actually born in Itasca Projects in South Philadelphia, which is a poverty-stricken area of Philadelphia. And my mother was Caucasian. My father was black, as I think he was anyway. I came out this way somehow. And my mother died when I was 5 years old and actually wound up in an orphanage in Philadelphia called the Stenton Child Center. And then from there, I went into a foster home, had wonderful foster parents who took care of me from the age of 6 until the time I was 18. And they remained my parents. But it's through that someone depositing in me that gift of sharing, that gift of helping someone, the stranger. You know, there's a story in Matthew, the 25th chapter, where Jesus talks about this whole idea of the stranger. He says, when I was a stranger, you took me in. And I know what it means to be that stranger and be helped. And so I'm not doing anything spectacular in the work we do here at Chosen 300. I'm simply just paying it forward. Now, back in 1996, my wife and I were at a play at the Miriam Theater. There was one homeless person outside of that play, and he had a half-torn blanket that wrapped around him that exposed his meatless ribs. He had a rope that he tied around his waist, and he had pants that lifted above his ankles. And that night, we shared with him the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I reached in my pocket, and nothing came out but lint. My wife had 40 cents in the bottom of her pocketbook, and we shared with him that last 40 cents. And I said, I wish I could do more for you. And his reply was, what you considered me. And that's like someone sticking a knife in your chest and turning it and said, are you really considering the poor to the capacity that you're able to? And my real answer was no. And so the next week we packed some 40-bag lunches and headed into Center City, Philadelphia with that lunch that we promised him and a Bible. And we met him on that corner. And I'll never forget the smile that he had on his face. Now, there's a scripture in Hebrews 13 that says, be careful how you treat strangers because you may be entertaining an angel unaware. And that was our angel that night that thrust us into ministry. And now we're distributing over 150,000 meals a year throughout the Philadelphia region. We have 3 regional locations, Center City, West Philadelphia, and Pottstown. We not only do meals, we do job training, computer labs, expungement services. We even have a barbershop where they can come get their hair cut for free and go out and land the job. This is a ministry of compassion, a ministry that allows us to be able to minister to people and to change people's lives.
A ministry of compassion it is indeed. Let's hear from a life greatly impacted by Chosen 300.
My name is Wendell Alston. I am the campus pastor here at Chosen 300 Ministries. I wasn't always the pastor here because the first time I came here because I wanted to eat and I was strung out on drugs. I ended up in Chosen 300 because I was one of the drug dealers in what they call the Badlands. My life had taken a spiral down. I had been in every jail in Philadelphia, 3 different penitentiaries. I was strung out on drugs for 15 years. I had become my best customer. I know what it feels like to eat out the trash. I know what it feels like to sleep in the streets. And I know what it feels like to have no one to love you. One of my biggest regrets is that while I was selling drugs and using drugs, that I had another son. His name was Wendell Maurice Alston Jr. And his mother was on drugs, and I took him and I ended up going to Norristown. And everything was going great. We were about to get a place and the whole 9 yards. And she got out of jail and ended up coming out there. And one day she went missing, and I took my son to daycare. And I went over there looking for her, and I ended up getting high. And I ended up staying out. And when I got back, they had taken my son. When I got to the police station, I was sitting there and they said, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. And I seen this lady walk in and she had all these children, different children, pictures on her pocketbook she was carrying. And then she goes in the back and I got this feeling like something isn't right. And about a half hour later, they come out and they tell me, we can't give you your son back. It was all I had. He's all I had left. He was the only one that loved me unconditionally. Even though I was messed up, my son loved me because it was just me and him. If the only thing I had left, they had taken away from me. And I tried to do what I had to do and went to court. And after a while, he got adopted by the same lady that came that night. I told God, no matter what happens, I trust and believe that before I close my eyes and die, that you're going to allow me to see my son again. So I don't know how, I don't know when, but I trust and believe that he will.
Wendell's story represents one of many affected by poverty in Philadelphia. Let's hear more from Brian, the executive director, and his heart for the homeless.
I could have stayed in corporate America. I was doing very well. I was an insurance agent in 37 states across the country, a member of the National Association of Securities Dealers. I advised the top leaders council on $1 Million Roundtable in mutual funds and annuities, and was doing very well. But God had a call on my life, and that's one thing that's about this place. The people that work here, they're not here because it's a job. They're not here because they need money, because they don't get paid a lot, and neither do I. But we do it because we love God's work, and because He gave something to us that was a gift of hope, a gift of everlasting life. We're simply extending that gift to others and extending the love of Christ, the same sacrifice He did on Calvary. Because He gave His life for us, we're laying our lives on the line for Him by helping others. So every single person that sits at that table every single night is a representation of Christ for us, because inasmuch as we do it unto the least of them, we do it unto Christ.
For over 20 years, the homeless in Philadelphia have been given a seat at Chosen 300 for a hot meal and a message of hope. Let's go back to Wendell's story as he shares his transformation upon stepping into the ministry.
God sent me to a place called Chosen 300. It didn't matter how I looked. It didn't matter how I smelled. They loved me with the love of Christ. And as I kept on coming, things started to change in my life. As I kept on coming, I was able to volunteer. And then I went from volunteering to being a site manager. I went from being a site manager, and I ended up being, I was licensed as a minister. I talked to Brian, and I ended up being ordained as a pastor here. And I was able to give back to the people that was here because I was just like them. I was just like the people that was here, because somebody loved me when I was in my mess. I still can't fathom the fact that God allows me to be campus pastor here. God, how does this work? How does me using drugs, selling drugs, going in and out of jail, ended up homeless, ended up being out on the streets, how does that work to your good for here? Because the people I'm going to allow you to minister to are going to be people just like you. So now I'm able to minister to them, I'm able to talk to them, and my life continues to change daily. I truly believe in order for the world to be changed is that the walls of the church must come down and we, the people of God, must go out. It means go out to the neighborhoods. You have to minister to the neighborhoods. You have to meet the needs of the people in the neighborhood. You have to let them know that Christ is real. In other words, if they're hungry, then you feed them. If they're clothesless, then you give them clothes. You give them hope. And as you give them hope, you allow them to know that I'm here for you. And that's one of the greatest things I believe this ministry does, is that we let people know that regardless of your situation, we have food cupboards where you can come get food. We have these services every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where you can come, you will hear the word of God, you can get something to eat. We have clothing that we put on the back tables so that you can get clothing. We have career day where we get suits and shoes and help people with resumes so they can go out, they can get jobs. We have the haircut so you can get your haircut. Because when you start feeling good about yourself, then you're able to go out and you be like, I know I can get that job. I know I can get this position. I know I can get this house. I know I can be a better father. You know, and when you start right here where you're at, giving what you have, and one of the biggest things I've found out that you could ever give someone is just your time. Just your time.
I hope you're encouraged by the story of life transformation. It's so incredible what God can do when we obey Him in loving our neighbors.
We count it as a privilege to say, God, thank you so much for choosing me to be used for your glory so people's lives can be changed. And no, we don't have the financial reward, but the intrinsic reward of seeing somebody's life change, someone who used to be in homelessness, to be able to come out of homelessness and make something great of their lives. That's the reward I get every day. When someone comes and shakes their keys and say, I have my apartment now, or someone has that badge from work and says, I got this new job that I didn't have before, or something changed in their lives. They got off drugs. They got their record cleared. Something happened to them because of the work that we're doing through the power of God. That's what brings value to what we do.
Every day, I tell people, my office is open. You don't have to make an appointment or anything. And I let the men know, I came through this program. I graduated this program. God allows me to have the position I have now. And I'm able to support my family. I'm able to be the man He's called me to be. I'm able to be the father that He's called me to be. And it's all because of Christ. And I look back over my life and all the mistakes I made and all that I've done, but He still allows me to be sitting here talking to you today. I know He has a purpose for my life. I know He has changed me. I know that I'm to tell other men, to let other men know that regardless of what it is, regardless of what's going on in life or what's happened in your life, that God is real and He's able to change your life. Don't allow people to label you. Don't allow people to put names on you or tell you you're not going to make it, you're not going to amount to nothing. The devil was a liar because people told me you're going to be a drug dealer all of your life. Then they told me I would be a drug addict all my life. Then they told me I would be homeless all my life. Well, the devil was wrong because I'm standing here and God has delivered me from drug dealing. God has delivered me from drug abuse. God has delivered me from homelessness, and God continues to keep me each and every day. He allows me to be the man. He allows me to be the husband. He allows me to be the father, and He allows me to be that example of what a Christian man should be, and I thank Him every day.